You're watching CNET, the digital domain.
A passion for computing put these men behind bars.
I'm taking over a TV network.
The real story of some high-tech hooligans.
Some companies are starting to offer internet access for free, but is it worth the price?
Classic board games jump from the living room floor to your computer. Find out what gets lost in the translation.
Plus, internet giant Netscape gives us a brand new way to enjoy the web, while Desmond shows us the newest and smallest way to compute on the road.
Sofie will be here to tell us what a mirror site is, and a CNET's Best of the Web takes us on a tour of some great art retrospectives. Right now on CNET Central.
Now, from the #1 on-air and online information source for the digital age, this is CNET Central.
Hi, I'm Richard Hart.
And I'm Gina St. John. Welcome to CNET Central.
Hackers. It's a term often given to computer fiends who use sophisticated knowledge of technology to crack security codes.
For some, it starts out as a thrill, accessing files that were meant for other users, manipulating security systems that were thought to be watertight. But all this intoxicating power tempts some hackers into illicit activity, and often their shenanigans land them behind bars or worse.
Take Kevin Poulsen. He was caught breaking into phone company systems. He did his time, but the judge handed him an additional, more sweeping sentence, a ban from using computers at all. In this day and age of massive computer automation, does that punishment fit the crime?
Hackers penetrate and ravage private and publicly owned computer systems.
Hackers are the bad guys lurking in the shadows, sort of embodying the whole fear of new technology.
Yeah, Mom?
What are you doing?
I'm taking over a TV network.
Now there are thousands, probably. You know, everybody wants to be a hacker, it seems like.
With hackers being glorified in the movies and the computer underground, a lot of younger computer users are being swayed by the legendary exploits of people like Kevin Poulsen and Chris Lamprecht. The problem is many of this new breed of hackers aren't aware that their pranks could be criminal in the eyes of the law. Chris Lamprecht, a.k.a. Minor Threat, won't get out of prison till the year 2000, his sentence for hacking-related crimes. Even then, he won't be allowed to use a computer for 3 more years, in addition to his sentence he feels is unjust.
Take a guy who's in here for wire fraud. When he gets out, are they going to say he can't use the telephone? Or anybody with mail fraud can't use the mail? I think it's like that.
Notorious hacker Kevin Poulsen began scamming free phone calls and used this knowledge to win a radio contest.
Well, I won the contests by breaking into phone company computers and then using those computers to take over the phone lines leading to the radio stations. Then that way I could make sure I was the right numbered caller. As a computer crime, it would have carried about a year. By charging it as money laundering because I deposited the check in the bank, that made it a minimum of 3 years. At the time that they started their investigation, I was just a phone hacker, basically. I was breaking into phone company computers and phone company buildings, but it was all done just to learn more about the phone system. There was no profit motive, and I didn't cause anybody any damage. But then the FBI got involved, and they started charging me with national security charges. They talked about it from day one, trying to make it into an espionage case. I got angry, and I said, well, you know, if that's how you want to play it, you'll have to catch me first.
They have this desire to live on what they call the dark side. It's more of a challenge to them.
Detective Randy Bradley at the high-tech unit of the Austin, Texas Police believes restricting computer use by hackers after they've completed their prison sentences is just.
It's an effort to rehabilitate the person, to get them to lead a productive role in society more than as a punishment.
I'm barred from legal use of computers, but the restrictions would do nothing to deter somebody from illegal use of them. It just keeps me from getting a good job, paying off the restitution to the radio stations, things like that. It almost seemed designed to thwart my own rehabilitation.
For more on the book about Kevin Poulsen's life of crime and an excerpt from The Watchman, come to our website at cnet.com. We'll link you to a site with all the information.
Enjoying the World Wide Web usually means paying an internet service provider a flat fee. Consumers shell out anywhere from $5 to $40 a month to stay connected. But lately, some ISPs have been pitching thrifty web surfers the ultimate bargain: online access for free. Sound too good to be true? Well, we sent reporter Sreenivasan to find out.
When Fran Thorson isn't gardening compulsively, her latest interest is surfing the web. The best part about it, she isn't paying a dime.
And I figured if it wasn't what I wanted, or if it was less than what I wanted, then I could always go to something that would cost me a little bit of money.
Her internet service provider, cyberfreeway.net, is one of a new breed of companies giving access away for absolutely nothing. The only catch, viewers have to share the screen with a scrolling advertisement. And for users like Fran, that's no bother.
Sometimes you have to sit and wait for transfers to occur, so it kind of breaks the monotony.
Aside from the advertisement, her connection is as good as any other.
I've talked to people, like I say, online, and I don't see that they're getting any more than I am.
Mrs. Fran Thorson seems to have an amazing deal to get online for free. Now, experts that study the internet service world will tell you a couple of things. One, if a deal sounds too good to be true, it probably is. They'll also tell you that the lowest priced internet access doesn't come without trade-offs.
If somebody really is driven towards getting the lowest rates possible for their internet service, they're likely to get a very low quality of service along with that.
That's because customer service is usually one of the first places cheaper ISPs can cut corners. The next major expense is the number of servers an internet provider has, something major players like America Online are reinvesting in. Some ISPs offer lifetime access for one easy payment, but companies like J3 Communication and US Freeway found it didn't pay to give away the farm.
Truthfully, at the end of the day, everybody's got to pay their way. There's no free lunch, as some famous economist once said.
So what will the internet service landscape of the future look like?
I think you'll see the internet services market start to look a lot like the long-distance market.
Until then, Mrs. Fran Thorson will be riding the info highway toll-free.
Hari is here with us now to answer a couple of questions. Now, Hari, how do I know that these ISPs are legit and they're not some fly-by-night operation like the ones that folded?
Really gets back to gauging a good deal. When you see the ad in the paper and you call the folks up to see what types of prices they're offering, be a smart consumer. Ask them some questions. Ask them how they plan on making money. Get them to send you a press release or other documentation along with their software to give you a better idea if they're going to be around for the long run.
Okay, well, what about those people who picked the wrong ISP?
Well, that's a different situation. If they're lucky, they'll probably be bought by a larger service provider, and after a few glitches, they'll be surfing no problemo. But they probably will have to change their email addresses at the very least.
Okay, thanks a lot, Hari. For more information about the ISP offers and what to look out for, head over to www.cnet.com. Coming up, a new way to surf the web with your TV, and how your favorite board games translate to the PC.
Net News is sponsored by IBM Solutions for a Small Planet.
Netscape has finally come out with its long-promised push technology. It's called Netcaster, and it funnels internet information to netizens so they don't have to surf websites. Netcaster will push content from specific online publishers that users request. Companies that have signed on so far include ABC News, CNN-FN, Time Warner, Ziff Davis, and our own CNET. Rival Microsoft already has some push capability in its Explorer 4.0 browser. Netscape also announced this week a major venture with Oracle to form a new company focused on network computer technology. Oracle's subsidiary, Network Computer Inc., joined Netscape's Navio Communications. The company will run under the name NCI. It'll develop software for network computers and other internet appliances, including televisions that can surf the net. The market for internet appliances that let you surf the web with your TV is growing increasingly competitive. This week, two companies, Zilog and Planet Web, together announced new technology that should allow manufacturers to build set-top boxes for less than $200. Microsoft's Web TV now goes for about $300. And Curtis Mathis has a new set-top box out to compete with Web TV. It's a little pricier, aimed at the ultimate couch potato. UniView lets users access the net, but also answer phone calls through the box. Plus, it offers weekly TV programming guides. The whole setup sells for about $400. Net bookseller Amazon.com went public last week, raising more than $50 million, cash that should come in handy to fend off Barnes & Noble. Barnes launched a competing site online, simultaneously filing suit against Amazon for making false claims. Barnes is challenging Amazon's claim that it is the world's largest bookstore. With all this competition, look for online book prices to drop. The citizens of Saudi Arabia could soon take part in the digital revolution. The country has agreed to allow internet access, but only after studies are done on how to avoid the negative aspects. The government is concerned about pornography and uncensored news. Saudi Arabia is one of a few Gulf countries without local internet providers. For more about these stories and more from the ever-changing world of computers, visit and bookmark news.com. It's updated several times a day with everything you need to know about the digital world.
Thanks, Richard. Speaking of the digital world, it is time to respond to one of your inquiries about computers and the internet. It's what we call the fact file. And the person who dispels some of that mystery for us every week is CNET's own Sofie Formica. Hey, Sofie.
Hi, Gina. You make me sound like the Angela Lansbury of the internet. Well, it's not a mystery that more people are getting online every day. But what happens if too many people want to visit the same site? Well, that brings us to this week's question from David of Singapore. He writes, what are mirror sites and how are they used on the web? Well, David, mirror websites are similar to the mirror you probably look at every morning. Just as that mirror reflects your image, mirror websites are reflections or exact copies of a site on the web. They're used when a site is getting more traffic than it can handle. You often come across mirror sites when you're searching for shareware. For example, we did a search for the iTuner on shareware.com. It came up with this list of mirror sites where you can download the program. As you can see, there are sites in Australia, Austria, France, Germany, etc., each of which is a mirror or an exact replica of the WinSite archive that hosts the iTuner. These mirror sites help to divert traffic from the busy original site, kind of like a building with an extra parking lot where there are more cars than spaces.
Now, if there are any words or phrases about computing that you find particularly vexing, there are two things you can do. If you're online, come to the glossary at cnet.com. There you'll find an easy-to-use database of computing terms.
But if you prefer to have your questions demystified by yours truly, send me your question at thefactfile at cnet.com or through regular mail to the Fact File, 150 Chestnut Street, San Francisco, California, 94111. Also, if you head on over to cnet.com, we post past week's questions and answers, as well as those Fact File addresses if you didn't have a chance to write them down.
Thanks, Sofie and Gina. Coming up next, art exhibitions online. We'll show you some CNET-approved sites worth bookmarking. Then Desmond has a new breed of palm top to show us that actually does windows.
The Best of the Web is brought to you by MCI One. Life just got simpler.
Attention art lovers, we're going to explore some of the hippest art exhibits on the net in our picks for this week's Best of the Web. First, we visit the Banned Books as Art website. Here you'll find an exhibit detailing books that have been censored over the years for political and cultural reasons. Created by Michigan artist Sharon Wysocki, join her on tour through some of the classics from Alice in Wonderland to Of Mice and Men. You'll also get a brief history of why these books were once forbidden. And we continue our artistic exploration at the Museum of International Folk Art. This site offers exhibits on all kinds of folk art, from Spanish colonial to contemporary Southwestern. Go ahead and peruse hundreds of objects at this virtual museum. But most noteworthy is the recycled art exhibit. See how artists turn junkyard scraps into American folk art. But if your art tastes lean towards the digital flavor, then check out Diane Fenster's work on the web. This site is a playground for all kinds of digital experimentations. Click over to the web gallery, where you'll find exhibits on everything from the human body to a study of reality and existence. For more Best of the Web, hop on to cnet.com. This week's feature also includes 2 more sites for art lovers.
Gina, thanks once again. You know, a few months ago, most of us heard of this new technology called CE, which was supposed to put Windows into a palm-top device. The early versions didn't sell so well. Now there's a next generation, and from CNET Labs, Desmond Crisis is here with the Hewlett-Packard version.
Yeah, this is the 320LX, and Hewlett-Packard made the 100 and the 200, which were real PCs in little boxes. This one's a CE device, but it'll do a lot of really cool things.
I have to say, it looks and feels on that screen just like a Windows 95 desktop.
And that's the intention. It also talks to your Windows 95 desktop. You just dock it, it starts a connection, and looks just like any other network connection on your Windows network.
You just pop it in, nothing special. Now, what about trading files? How do you get them back and forth?
It's simple. You just drag and drop it into what they call the Handheld PC Explorer. It's a new Windows CE thing. Drag and drop, you put whatever you need in there. It also comes with Pocket Word, Pocket Excel. You can read all your documents on it, and you can even surf the internet.
Looks like they have a winner this time. Now, how much is it going to cost?
The luxury version of the 320LX, which has got a backlight, 4 megs of memory, and a great software bundle, that one's $699. But they have a value model, which is called the 300. It's only about $499.
You've used a couple of other similar machines called the Scion and the Pilot. How does this compare?
Well, I really like the Scion because it had custom software applications, lots of shareware you could download, and felt like a computer. Then it broke, and I had to get a Pilot, and I like the way that it talked to my own computer. Now it looks like I'm going to be able to have both.
The best of both worlds with the HP. Of course, more information is available at cnet.com. Desmond, thanks once again.
Thank you. CE.
You keep doing that.
You know, Monopoly is my game.
Oh, come on, you don't have a clue.
Oh, he didn't say that. You know, the thrill and fun of these classic board games have finally come to your computer. Yeah, they've added high-end graphics that dazzle the eye along with multiplayer features. So you can now play over the internet.
Yeah, sure, but is porting a board game to a computer a good idea? Some critics argue that the computer eliminates many of the social aspects of the game, while other people say a computer adds a new dimension.
Yeah,
This was once the only way to play a game of Monopoly. Rolling the dice, moving the pieces, bankrupting your best friend.
970,
71.
72.
73.
74.
75.
Well, now you can conquer the world digitally as popular board games roll onto the PC.
There's a real void in the market for familiar kinds of games that people know.
Board game king Hasbro, maker of games like Scrabble and Monopoly, are bringing all of your favorites to life. There's Yahtzee, Risk, Sorry, even Mastermind and Clue.
You think the murder took place in the ballroom?
And these high-tech board games offer something more than just good old nostalgia. In addition to multimedia-enriched graphics, you can now sink your buddy's battleship or break the bank in Monopoly all over the internet.
Up until now, when you wanted to play a game of Monopoly, you have to gather a group of people. And now you don't have to wait for your friends to come over. You can just play the game.
But it's that loss of close contact and social interaction that have some pundits worried.
I think a lot of people may miss the feel of the dice in their hands and the actual pieces that they're manipulating. I mean, that's one of the things I miss. There's something also very quaint about sitting down with your friends and playing a board game.
It's easy to feel that way about it, but what they have to remember is times are changing and things are changing, and there's mediums available to us that weren't available 60 years ago.
But Stan Biesiadecki and the folks at Mindscape may have the answer. They're combining the old with the new by developing an online version of chess that provides the touch and feel of the original game, along with the technological advancements for computer play.
We found that there are a lot of people who prefer to touch the piece, to feel their moves. Other people are more comfortable with using the mouse. This just allows you to choose whichever way you feel is best for you to play the game.
And it's playing the game that ultimately matters. According to Game Center's Jones, these board game adaptations for the PC are worthwhile, but only if there's an enhanced experience for the gamer.
I don't think you want to port every single board game over to the PC. There's a lot of shovelware out there right now. Some of these games work out and some don't. Some are perfectly suited for PC play and some are horribly suited for PC play.
Hasbro and Mindscape are quick to point out they're not trying to replace the original board games with a digital experience. They are, however, trying to make these games keep up with the changing times and offer something fun and familiar to the game enthusiast. Hey, it seems to be working.
Sure is. Hasbro is projecting it'll sell 1 million copies of Monopoly by August, which is only a year and a half since it first hit the market, while Mindscape says more than 70,000 users have already logged on to their Chessmaster website to play chess.
Now, if you want to find out which board games CNET liked and didn't like, head over to GameCenter.com. There you'll find reviews of most of these games.
And when you're through learning all there is to know at Game Center, come to our award-winning website, CNET.com. It's the source for information about computers.
This week we'll show you how to get your own homepage online, or if you're really ambitious, how to post a whole site. Plus, find out how to hold a virtual meeting with our review of internet conferencing tools.
Well, that's CNET Central for this week. Thanks for tuning in and logging on. By the way, it was Colonel Mustard.